Yes, it's B. Okay, so additional action is needed to combat this piracy because it causes financial losses to the industry. Never mind the everything else that goes with it. Okay. Okay, so three. What do we have for that?
I don't know. Um, A, yeah,
Okay, why do you think A? You're correct. But I'm just wondering why. What makes you think A?
because it states that in the second. Yeah, it says it in the second passage, but I didn't see it in the first one.
Yeah, because this one really is supporting the conclusion that you're drawing in the first passage. So yes, absolutely, it does support what it says in that first one. So it makes it harder for these new acts to get signed. Okay, and number four.
A.
Yes. Yeah, I think they could have done a little bit better job of outlining how that has a harmful effect on the industry. We know it makes $12.5 billion a year. We know something must be done. People illegally downloaded 10,000 songs. Okay, but how is this really hurting this industry? So if people are
Yeah.
losing their jobs, companies losing money, okay, I get the whole piracy thing. That's bad, but they could have probably done a better job of outlining how this is actually a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I get it; it's just these two short paragraphs, but more facts would have helped.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the next page then. All right, so text with opposing arguments. So really, almost any kind of argument worth giving or worth making, people are going to have an opposing point to it. So if you are completely one of these guys who loves the Second Amendment, you can get 100 of them in a room, and you're going to have 100 that are going to say the exact opposite. Okay, you'll probably get same thing with whoever likes a particular car or truck, or who likes to read a certain book or type movie, TV show, whatever it might be. You're going to get almost every time. There's very few arguments that are very, where people are very one sided on it, okay? So you're going to have texts that have these two opposing arguments to it. So read the argument and opposing argument paragraphs there, like we've been doing. Questions, and then we'll do the ones on the next page as well, okay? All right, so then text with related graphic information. Oh, no, wait a minute. I'm on the next page. Text with opposing arguments. So, first one. So, what's the topic of both of these selections?
Two. Yep.
Okay. So, clean coal is what we're talking about, right?
Yep.
So, then what's our next one? So, what kind of evidence is provided in this argument?
Two.
Okay, where?
It's yeah, it shows like it prevents the formation of harmful emissions, stuff like that, just spitting out facts.
Okay. Yes. So, you see how using facts and using authoritative data and stuff like that makes it strengthens the argument that they're trying to make here that this will help reduce coal's environmental impact. Yes.
What?
Yes. Do you see how that those facts work for that? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. And then it lists what these new technologies are. So, purify exhaust gases as it burns, prevent the formation of emissions, and then it uses these low NOx burners, whatever that is. Okay. So it gives examples, it gives some factual data, and it gives it from these authoritative sources that talk about how this goes in this argument and I can support it. And then it's going to have the opposite one with your opposing argument, okay? So then that takes us to the next one. So how does the opposing argument confront this underlying assumption of the argument, the first paragraph?
1.
Okay. So it talks about how you get a lot of this stuff before coal is ever burned and ever turned into some kind of energy, right?
Right.
Perfect. Alrighty, absolutely. So did you guys get that next page, those 4 questions, or not yet?
Yeah.
You did?
Got 'em. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So then what do we have for number 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really just talking about this motion picture rating system. So really that's
Which is
the
true. There is a lot of PG-13 movies that still have like violence and sexual content.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Stuff. And it's very confusing.
yeah, stuff that 13-year-olds shouldn't see.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. So then 2, what's the main point of the argument? So not the argument, not the opposing one.
B.
Okay. Yes. So where does it say that, or where do you get that from?
She pretty much is saying it. She's like how it's can use every parent knows what they mean and can use them to quickly judge. Ratings now include they take the guesswork out of at least one aspect of parenting or whatever.
Okay.
So it's easy to use.
What about that second sentence where it talks about the system designed specifically to help parents decide whether a movie is appropriate?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that right there is a real good kind of in-your-face statement right there. So, all right. So for 3, the opposing argument agrees with which of the following statements?
D.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know why. I think the system is pretty good. It's not the greatest, but yeah, it's definitely. They say opposing that this MPAA system should not be trusted. Okay. Sure, why not? And then 4.
A.
Yes. Okay, so everything for these 5 up to this point about this writing, and then how you have different relational texts, and then you have your validity of arguments, and then you have factual and opposing arguments and all that. All that really is designed to do one of those 4 things that we talked about with purposes of text, right? So all of this is meant to inform, persuade, entertain, or what's the other one?
Inform.
Yeah, I said that. Narrate. That's it. Yeah, so all of this is used together to be able to do one of those 4 things, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. So this one, if we read these 2 arguments here, what are they trying to do to us here? Which of those 4 are they trying to get across here? Now, remember, it can be more than one. It doesn't have to just be a narrator, just be an informer. It can be a combination.
I would say. I'd say inform.
Okay.
Might be it. Inform. I guess in the opposing, it's maybe a bit of a persuasion.
That's what I'm going with. Yeah, definitely inform, because it's trying to show you what the ratings are and you know what they do. and then persuade parents to either use or not use this system. So I think inform and persuade for this particular one.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And our next page. So, who just sent me that? Okay. All right, so text with relational graphic information. So what that is telling me is, if you look at that pie chart that we have right there, or that circle graph, I should say, you're going to have some of this stuff with this information that you get different sources. That's going to be, like it says, accompanied by this graphic. The graphic is what you see with that circle graph there, or maybe it's one of those on the next page with those big blocks over there. It's some way to graphically represent information that you're trying to, as a writer, to convey to who's ever reading it. So this one breaks down percent distribution of households by type. So if it's a regular renter, if it's a homeowner, male, female, two or more, one person alone, however that might be. And like we were talking yesterday with all the different types of graphics that we were looking at, so we were looking at picture graphs and bar graphs, line graphs, all that other stuff. It's really meant for you to collect the data, analyze it, and make a decision. So this kind of thing here, where you see, especially broke down by these percentages in these different categories, this is all meant to show who's ever reading it. Here's the data, analyze it, come up with your own kind of decision about it. So what are those first two questions there, and then we're gonna get into the next page, okay?
1 and 2. Done and done.
Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. So, story and topic of this graphic, yeah, it's really composition of households. It tells you right there in the title of it anyway. Good thing about these, if you ever read one of these, all those percentages that are listed there cannot equal more than 100%.
Right.
Okay. Kind of cut and dry. I know that's probably common sense, but it can't be more than that, okay? Otherwise, it's not any good. And the second one, what'd you guys go with? Number 2?
Yeah, 2.
Yep. Okay. Alrighty, yes. So then let's look at 95.
1 and
Hold on. Yeah, but hold on. So this one, I don't know if you know this gerrymander term. Have you ever heard of that?
I actually have not. Was
Okay.
My first?
Say what?
It was my first time learning.
Okay. It is a term used in politics, especially when it comes to drawing up congressional districts. So the congressional district that represents Leavenworth and Lansing has been drawn up, I'm sure, 1,000 different times. Usually it is that party that's in control, so Republicans or Democrats, and they draw up, and some of these are really goofy. They'll be like along like this particular line, and then it'll be like this, and it'll jurt out and come back. And really it's meant to ensure that that political party puts all of its people in one particular district so they can keep controlling that district. So you'll see these a lot, and pretty much they're used across the country. Some are really blatantly obvious that, yeah, that party drew that district because they want to stay in charge there because it is a heavily Republican or Democrat district, or they're not. So it really depends on who and where they are. So that's that term, that's where you get the term from, okay?
Okay.
All right, so go ahead and work on these questions, all 15 of them, all right?
Alright.
And then we will come back and talk about them, all right?
Alright.
So let's start going through them. So then what about number 1, talking about gerrymandering? So what's the main point of this passage with the figures?
D.
Okay,
Wait, which one?
number 1.
Okay, yeah, D.
Yeah, so that one I think it does a good job of showing you how these districts can really be drawn up to keep that particular party in power. So if you look at 1B there, that whole thing's where it's blacked in, all that keeps those shaded blocks within that particular district. And like I said, you see this throughout the country. Then some districts are worse about it than others. All right, two.
B.
Yep, definitely.
That's what people.
Yeah, yeah, they can be elected, stay elected, and actually get more seats in state or federal government. Okay, next one.
D.
What do you think, Brooklyn?
B.
It's actually A.
Oh.
Yeah, it illustrates the advantages a party can obtain through gerrymandering, and a lot of times you'll see when it gets closer to elections, um, people start getting really mad about this gerrymandering, and they'll start filing lawsuits or stuff like that. But yes, more of them start coming out.
It's A. For 3. Oh wait, that's why I was on the wrong page. There we go. So now are we on one with the social networking one?
Yes.
Okay. I put D.
All right. Okay, both you guys get D for that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, exactly.
I don't think Testaments do. They are. They have posted it. No, I don't either. They don't want it. It's probably posted it. So,
Okay, so then what's our next one? What do we got?
or 2.
Yes.
3.
Okay, so the topic of this one was the passage in the graph talks about how technology affects interpersonal connections.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so different kind of subject, but you see where it says affects there?
Yeah.
So sometimes you'll see that or you'll see effects.
Right.
Do you know what the difference between the two is?
Effect is like cause and effect.
And
And then affect
uh-huh.
is like the effect of something, right?
Yes, and it's even more simpler. Effect is a noun, affect is a verb.
Okay.
So that's why you'll see the difference in writing with those two, okay?
Okay.
Okay, what about 3 then?
D.
Okay, and 4?
B.
Okay, yes. All right, so then what about this giant squid?
5. I got B.
Okay, yeah. So main point of that passage, like we've said before, sometimes the main point will be right there in the title. It'll be the very first sentence. It'll be first sentence, last sentence in the reading. In this case, it is right there, very first. It talks about world's longest squid is the world's longest cephalopod. So it's right there in front of your face. So 13 meters, that is pretty damn long. Okay, how long is 13 meters? Do you know?
Let's see. I know it's like, is it what, 50 meters is the football field?
Um,
Like 5 yards or something like that.
something like that. Um, a meter is 3.3 feet. So this thing's probably like 52 feet. So that's pretty damn long.
If I ever saw one of those, nope, I'd be out.
Yeah, I'm going the other way. I'm
Yeah.
not playing around. Okay, so then what about 6?
A.
Really?
D.
What'd you say, Brooklyn?
D.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Giant squid's longer than the colossal squid. Okay, so 7. Which evidence is given to support the writer's argument in paragraph 2?
A.
What do you think, Brooklyn?
C.
Yes. Yeah, the length of the longest known colossal squid specimen is 10 meters. So if that's the case, then it talks about these giant ones getting to lengths of 13 meters. So that is evidence, good factual evidence, used to support the fact that giant ones are longer than colossal. All right, what about the next one?
D.
Wow. Okay, what do you think, Brooklyn?
A.
Yeah, it's A.
Oh.
Man, you're struggling here, there, Madison.
I know.
Let's get it.
All right, so what about 9?
B.
Yeah, I got B too.
Yeah, so the topic of both of these really talks about mercury dental amalgam, right? So a little history, a little bit of what it does. Yeah, so really both of these that's its main topic there. Okay, awesome. 10. What's the main argument for the first passage there?
C. Or
Or what?
um. A.
Okay, what do you think, Brooklyn?
What number?
10.
C.
C.
So I was right. Wow.
Okay, what about 11?